Hi everyone. Today I want to start with talking about the last words that Jesus left with his disciples before he ascended into heaven. So Mark 16 and Matthew 28 call something the Great Commission, which was a call to action that Jesus was issuing to his disciples. The first part of the call says that we are to go and preach the gospel to every creature. And the second part of the call says that we are to go and make disciples of all nations. And we start doing this with one person at a time. So evangelism, it actually provides an invitation into the Father's house, but discipleship allows you to take a seat at the Father's table. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. Discipleship. The simple goal of discipleship is actually to lead people to Jesus and to help them discover their own ways of connecting with God so that they could learn from God himself and be taught by God. The good news about the Great Commission is that it is a co-mission. So you're not doing it alone. You're going on this mission together with Jesus. And what you're simply doing is actually inviting people in on your lives. That's what Jesus did. He said, just come and follow me. So with this said, the pressure is off. You do not need to concern yourself with changing people's hearts or resolving their issues. You just simply need to point them to Jesus, the perfect one who changes everything. So remember this, you're not stepping into a role of a counselor. It is not your responsibility to be in an advisory position. But what you're actually doing is together you're seeking the face of God for his truth in his word and by speaking of the Holy Spirit. So you're praying together, you're reading the word together, and you're letting that renew your mind. You're probably wondering, well, what are some practical ways that I could actually disciple someone? Step number one is connect. So take intentional time to connect with one another, whether it's over meals or just to simply gather at someone's home or in a coffee shop. But the point of your connection is actually to seek God together, to read his word, to pray together and see what he wants to speak into the person's life. During those times, make sure you give the room for God to move, because a lot of times things will come up, and let God breathe into what he's doing in their lives at the moment. So during those connections, you could also do activations, because everything that we learn should be applied into our lives. So what does it look like to do an activation? It's very simple. If you're learning about hearing God's voice, because John chapter 10 talks about how his sheep hears his voice, then take a few moments to stop and ask God questions so that he can actually answer and speak back to them. So this way, the new believer will actually learn how to hear the voice of God for themselves. And also, when you are having these connection times, make sure that they have accountability. If they're going through some kind of issue on their life, just check in on it, see where they're at, and be able to affirm what God is speaking into their life. You can also share testimonies with them of different breakthroughs, because they encourage them on their own journeys with God. And here's the second part of practically discipling someone. Give them tasks. These will encourage them to go deeper in their own relationship with God when you are not around during the week. So these tasks are kind of like a homework that a teacher assigns to a student. It will maybe be a chapter that you feel the Lord is speaking about that will be applicable for their life at the moment. So just encourage them to dwell and meditate on this chapter in the Bible every day of the week. Encourage them to set aside intentional time to spend with God, where they could worship him and connect with him on their own during the week. Whatever it may be, just encourage them to go deeper on their own with the Lord, because they are responsible for their relationship with God. And what they do on their own time matters. And third practical tip on discipling someone is simply pray for them and love on them. Just think about it. When someone gives their lives to Jesus, they become a child of God. And like a little child, they may have a lot of questions that children usually ask. So it's okay, just have patience with them and answer all the questions that they have according to their level. Get to their level of understanding that they have at the moment. Don't be discouraged when you see a messy process in the midst of your journey of discipling someone. Just be patient, be supportive, pray with them, speak the truth of God over them, and affirm his word over their life. And once they're done with the milk, they could move on to the harder fruit. So guys, everyone can do this. Everyone can make disciples, and I encourage you to make a decision today to intentionally invest into someone's life, because the reward is great.